Oh yeah, what up, This is my TNA Genesis 2008 pay-per-view predictions. The pay-per-view is going to be airing tomorrow night live on pay-per-view, and since my predictions aren't going to take that long here, I'm just going to, after I get through my predictions, I'm just going to talk about 3 wrestling-related news topics that I just want to get my thoughts out on. First off, let me get to my TNA Genesis 2009 pay-per-view predictions. The opening match will be the X Division title match, the X Division finals match, to decide who will be the new X Division champion, with the finals being Chris Sabin versus Alex Shelley. And a lot of people will expect Homicide to maybe get involved in this match, cash in his X Division title shot. But I think the best way to do that is have these two, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, actually take each other on in a one-on-one match. Then post-match have Homicide do that instead of turning it into a three-way. Keep it a one-on-one match, then have him just come out here and kind of get the title in that fashion. Well, what I'll do is first have Shelley and Sabin take on each other. And have Shelley and Sabin at least wrestle 15-20 minutes, because this match is definitely something I'm looking forward to a lot on this pay-per-view. Probably the match I'm looking forward to the most. And definitely these two could put on a very, very enjoyable match as long as they get a good amount of time, which I'm hoping they do. I see Shelley going over here, becoming the X Division champion. Then right after that, you have Homicide come out here, cash in his X Division title shot, and defeat Alex Shelley for the title, kind of, somewhat building up more to the, premise of the whole Motor City Machine Gun storyline where they keep on getting screwed, and this would be a good way to do it with Shelley and Sabin kind of getting screwed out of, one of them holding on to the X Division title, with Homicide just coming out here, cashing his X Division title shot in and winning the title in a very quick fashion. I think it would build to that type of storyline a little better, and it would, be something good for Shelley and Sabin to do as well, which even in some points or another with Homicide and Hernandez being a tag team, you can kind of start this, be like somewhat the slow start of the Motor City Machine Guns versus LAX feud in some cases as well. So I see Shelley winning the match, then I see Homicide coming out, cashing in his X Division title shot, and becoming the new X Division champion. And for their tag team of Homicide and Hernandez, it will not really hurt either one of them if one of them holds a singles title, because, even though the X Division thing is saying, there's no limits on the X Division, I mean, that thing is complete bullshit. Everyone knows that, they all pretty much, for the most part, put, cruiserweight type wrestlers, junior heavyweights in the X Division. I mean, I think they tried it once, a long time ago, where they had some masked wrestler known as X that kind of looked like Abyss under a mask or something, under some type of suit. And that was the only time they tried to really, kind of exploit the no limits in the X Division thing. So it will not hurt, Homicide and Hernandez, because they wouldn't want to fight over the X Division title, whereas, Shelley and Sabin, this kind of might give a little thing to start, wanting to break the team up, which, even though I do like both of them as a singles wrestler, I think, as far as in TNA, the best role for them to be is a tag team together. Then the next matchup will be the Shane Sewell versus Sheik Abdul Bashir match, which is a match I'm not looking forward to. Now, it has, Purpose being on here. It has been, one of those storylines they've been trying to build up, but I don't think it's anything anyone cares in. Obviously, Shane Sewell is going to go over. They're not going to be having Bashir defeat him in this match, so obviously Shane Sewell is going to go over in this match with the story, because it'll be idiotic if he doesn't go over. Then the next matchup is going to be the TNA Knockouts match, which was at first going to be Amazing Kong versus Christy Hemming, but just over the last day, TNA broke the news saying that Christy Hemming got injured, I guess, during a training session with AJ Styles, training for a match this Sunday on pay-per-view. So it sounds like it might be a work, and Christy Hemming might still be in this match. So it could go either way. It could go with some major talent maybe making their debut with TNA, which some people have speculated may be like a Tori Wilson or a Lita or someone of that name stature of debuting and, maybe defeating Amazing Kong, or just Amazing Kong, kind of having a good showcase with them, with Amazing Kong still holding on to the title. But it will not surprise me if they go the route, where Amazing Kong kind of loses her guard and kind of saying, okay, this is easy, I don't have no opponent, and pretty much thinks she doesn't have to take on Christy Hemming. Then Christy Hemming comes out there and still defeats her for the TNA Knockouts title. That's if, this whole thing's a work. That's the way I could see it possibly going, because that seems like a route TNA would go, with Christy Hemming kind of, not kind of, still in an upset fashion defeating Amazing Kong, but Amazing Kong kind of loses her guard since she doesn't think she has to take on Christy Hemming, and that'll be kind of a way to, make it look like it's okay that Christy Hemming defeats Amazing Kong. That's if it's a work, or like I said, they might get another talent to take on Amazing Kong. No matter what, there is going to be a TNA Knockouts title match, so that's one of those matches can't really predict because, it might be a work, it might not be a work that Christy Hemming's injured. Then the next matchup is going to be for the TNA Tag Team titles, and this is going to be a three-way with Beer Money Incorporated, James Storm and Robert Roode versus Abyss and Matt Morgan versus the newly crowned TNA Tag Team Champions, Consequences Creed and Jay Lethal. And since Creed and Lethal just recently won the tag team titles, I don't think they're going to go the route of them dropping the titles back to Beer Money. So I see them keeping a hold of the titles, where this will probably, since they're kind of X Division type wrestlers, I could see, possibly Creed and Lethal losing the tag team titles to the Motor City Machine Guns at some point, or possibly even LAX. Because it seems like they're kind of, now they're trying to do some feud with Beer Money versus Abyss and Matt Morgan. That's what kind of feud they'll kind of have Beer Money involved in for a little bit. So I see Creed and Lethal retaining the TNA Tag Team titles. Then the next matchup is going to be the six-man tag, which is going to be Mick Foley's in-ring TNA debut. And this is the Frontline versus the Main Event Mafia, with the Frontline having Mick Foley, AJ Styles, and Devon versus Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner, and Booker T of the Main Event Mafia. Now, some people are expecting a Mick Foley heel turn to possibly happen, and him turn on the Frontline and join the Main Event Mafia in kind of like a swerve fashion, where you would expect Vince Russo to do something like this. I expect it to happen, but I don't expect it to happen in this match. I expect it to happen later on in the night when they have the Jeff Jarrett versus Kurt Angle match, and him turn on Jeff Jarrett in that match instead of having him turn it over here. I think they'll go the route of the Frontline winning this match, kind of gain them a little confidence that they, finally picked up a victory and are actually somewhat defeating the Main Event Mafia in some sort of match. And I would say do the best route of having AJ Styles get it, have his confidence go up that they defeated the Main Event Mafia. Then, the next match will be the Kurt Angle versus Jeff Jarrett match, which in this match I say that Mick Foley is going to come out here. You're going to see him get involved, and it's going to look like he's going to help Jeff Jarrett out. Then he's going to turn and do something to Jeff Jarrett where he'll cost Jeff Jarrett the match, and Kurt Angle will pick the victory up. Then you got the main event, which I don't even know if it's going to be the main event, because this is actually one of those title matches that I would not put as the main event of the pay-per-view. I would probably say with the build of it, the Jarrett and Angle match deserves being the main event more than the title match. In this case, a lot of times I really am against the company not putting the title match in the main event, but this is one of those cases I'm okay with it, because everyone knows that, when you're doing Sting versus Rhino for the TNA World Heavyweight title, there's no chance in hell that Rhino's actually going to go over and win the TNA World Heavyweight title. Sting's obviously going to retain. They'll probably make it at least look that there's a slight chance that Rhino will be able to defeat Sting, but we all know that this is pretty much going to be kind of a jobber type match where Sting's going to pretty much get it's probably going to be not a long match at all. Sting will get the win pretty early. I expect it will shock me if it goes longer than 10-15 minutes and Sting getting the victory. Rhino will look like he may be able to defeat him, but like I said, Sting's going to retain, and this is one of those cases I don't think it should be the main event, because a Sting and Rhino match main evented or headlining the pay-per-view just seems idiotic. Then three news topics I want to discuss. The first one is dealing with some WWE releases over this past week, the past couple days, and WWE has been apparently making some cutbacks with their company, releasing some talents now. Really, no one on this is like any big-name talent, pretty much talents you would expect you get released at some point or another, or some you're like, how the hell could they even still be with the company? The people that got released are D'Lo Brown, which really no shocker that he got fired, since due to the fact that they haven't really been putting him on TV or doing anything with him. Bam Neely, a guy that I thought would have been fired months ago, so they finally scrapped him. Mike Posey and Jimmy Corderas, which are two referees. They got released. Another referee and Tim White got released. So Jimmy Corderas and Tim White are two of those guys that have been with WWE for a long, long time, and they got released. Val Venus, which is another guy that a lot of people are surprised that whenever they make these cutbacks, that he hasn't been fired already. So he finally got the axe. He's finally fired from WWE. Then Kevin Thorne, which a lot of people remember him as on the ECW brand as Kevin Thorne when they had Shelly Martinez as the manager with him as Ariel. And another thing, when he did the one character on SmackDown, Mordecai. And he's definitely one of those talents that kind of got the raw end of the deal in WWE. Not saying that I thought he was a great talent, but I think WWE could have possibly done a little better with him than what they actually did. Then another release, you got two developmental talents. One of the developmental talents I remember has been on SmackDown a few times. First one being Mike Cruel, which he's a pretty good wrestler. I'm surprised WWE did release him. Another one is Gavin Spears, which I remember, I think him, maybe even Mike Cruel and Scotty Goldman, a.k.a. Colt Cabana. I remember at one point all three of them were on the SmackDown brand, kind of in, somewhat of a jobber-esque type role. So didn't really surprise me about any of these releases. Just wanted to, throw them out that, these wrestlers did get released. Next thing I want to discuss is Ring of Honor's possible or at least TV proposal from the HD Net channel. And, I always want Ring of Honor to get the best deal available for them to get TV. And, this is one of those deals I would say Ring of Honor should probably pass up on due to the fact that it's a channel that's not being able to seen in that many homes. Not only you got to think of this, a channel that's not available in many homes, the only way you can view this channel is through having HD HD available. So if you don't have HD TV, HD box set, or anything like that, you're not able to check out this channel. And it's probably a very small portion of this that actually get this channel that are actually probably going to want to check out Ring of Honor. It's not. I don't think this would be a deal that's going to help them out. They need to possibly wait for a better deal. If they do go with a route of this deal, they need to do something online where they upload the show on YouTube, or do some type of stream on their site for people that don't have the ability to see HD Net channel. Make it be available for people to see it on there. So right now, I would say it's a deal they should not go with. Obviously, we want Ring of Honor to get on TV, but this is not a good deal, in my opinion, for them to do. Wait out for another deal, or hell, I would even go the route of trying to get some syndication deal on some network. Now, I know you have to pay for syndication, but I think it would be better to, fork out a little more money than getting on a network that's going to be barely seen by anyone at all. And then the next thing I want to discuss is obviously, I already discussed it in my last video, mentioned it that Low-Key has signed with WWE, and this is definitely good news. I'm definitely glad Low-Key did sign with WWE. Hopefully they will use him right. I know a lot of people are probably scared that WWE will not use him right or have to tone his style down, which I really don't think they'll do, due to the fact that he's not really that much in the ring, where his style, he'll probably have to tone down a little because he does get a little stiff in the ring, but as far as his in-ring work, for the most part, I don't think he'll really have to tone down his style to a high degree. He'll probably have to tone down, how hard he hits the double stomp. That's if they still have him do that move. But I see them probably, just letting him do the Key Crusher 99 as his finisher, and definitely be interesting to see him. I've heard, possibly rumors of maybe a Rey Mysterio versus Low-Key feud, which would be excellent. I would love to see that. And then the last thing I want to discuss is WWE.com. They posted a few days ago that they already, announced their first inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame of 2009, the night before WrestleMania, and this was pretty much, a thing that was on their site, I think maybe for a day, then got removed. They mentioned pretty much in the thing, it said, hell yeah, he is inducted. Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to be the main inductee into the 2009 Hall of Fame, which probably everyone expected it to happen anyway, where Austin would be the main inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame. So, but they obviously removed it from their site. It's pretty much probably they put it on their site for a little bit to hype it up, get the name out that Austin is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and obviously help, the early ticket sales for the WWE Hall of Fame 2009. And, yeah, it's just my predictions of TNA Genesis pay-per-view, which is on tomorrow night. Probably give you a review of that either later on later on tomorrow night after the pay-per-view, or sometime no later than Monday afternoon. And just wanted to get my thoughts out on these few news-related subjects in wrestling. And yeah, that's it.